And I am your host, Tiffany Ginyard. And before we get started on any preliminaries, I just want to check in and see how y'all feeling. So you can take yourself off mute. And hi, Sarah, Valencia, and Brianna. So thank y'all for being here today. And if you could just introduce yourself and give me one or two emotions that you're feeling right now.
I can go first.
Okay.
I'm Brianna Bailey. I go to Coppin State University. Um, I'm feeling good today, like actually positive, in a positive mood. Felt really when I woke up like, okay, today is not going to be a bad day. One of those days I felt like, okay, positive. I just woke up like good.
All right. All right. Thank you. I'm glad to have you. Who else? Valencia?
Sure. I am Valencia Hike. I am with Park Heights Renaissance. I am a community school coordinator. I support the schools in the Park Heights community, the students, the families, and the community. Today, I am feeling very mindful. I have been making it a practice to practice self-care, but not in the physical form, as in the form of like, some people say, they get their nails done or they take an Epsom salt bath. I'm practicing self-care mentally and being mindful because I found that it's very easy for me to go to those go-to things. Not that they're not also good for me, but I felt like I needed to be more mindful, and it's really changed how I feel and how I react to things. And it's just had this overall sense of calm and peace that's come over me. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That kind of really helps us with our discussion today. So I hope that you'll stay with us throughout and share. And Sarah,
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a licensed social worker. Um, and I'm feeling good today. I'm very interested in this topic and I'm ready to get it going.
all right, all right. So I'm Tiffany again, and I am the Chief Inspirational Officer of the Fly Girl Network. The Fly Girl Network is a outreach organization that is dedicated to providing hubs of support as well as pathways of guidance for young people, youth, young adults, and the people who serve them. We do this by creating media and transformative experiences that these are my three things that one inspire self-awareness, so I'm hoping that that's what we get out of this today. Two, to teach self-mastery, so like Valencia was just talking about, as far as being mindful, that's a self-mastery tool, and it's something that we continue to develop throughout a lifetime. It's not just I'm mindful one day and then I got it down, but because we are evolving, ever changing, always moving upward, whether we want to or not, we're always spiraling upward. Being mindful, it has levels to that. So one thing that you might be mindful of, might become something, a part of your character and your consciousness, but then there's another area that now you've grown to, and now it's a whole nother different mindfulness practice that you might have to put in place in your life to rise to that occasion. And then the third thing is sharing resources and tools for self-fulfillment. So another thing Valencia said about self-care is not just about taking care of the physical, and it's also about taking care of your soul and taking care of your spirit and taking care of your heart, because in your heart is where it's what I call the seat of the soul. It's where the spirit and soul meet. It's the only place in your body, in this physical body, where you have access to the allness and the everything that, all that there is. Some people call it God. Some people, call it the universe. Some people call it Lord, the law of the universe, whatever it is that you want to call it. That heart space is the only place on this planet, in this body, that you will ever have access to your God, to your higher self. That's the portal, that's the gateway to get into the best of who you are and what you have to offer to the world. I see a couple of other people that just dropped in. I'm asking a question, how you feeling? I haven't told everybody. So how I'm feeling today, I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling love. I'm feeling so much love right now. And I'm feeling appreciation. Those are like the emotions that I have. I'm appreciative of all the faces all the people that just popped up in here. And I'm also just appreciative of the breath that I have. The breath that I have that I don't even have to think about. I don't even have to tell myself to breathe. It just happens. And so that alone, because the breath is sustaining my entire life, my entire existence, I'm just so grateful and so appreciative of the breath that's flowing through my body. And real quick, we still have 2 more minutes before we get into it. So I want to ask Nicole, if you could take yourself off mute, introduce yourself, and tell us how you're feeling today. Or we'll come back to Nicole. Anybody else that's on the line that just dropped in? How we're starting this off is just talking about and giving 1 or 2 words for how we're feeling. So Emma, I see you. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling fabulous. I'm grateful. I'm full of gratitude. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic. I'm proud of you. I'm feeling wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, no problem, Nicole. Well, just type in the chat how you feel. Let me see how you feeling today. Inspired and hopeful for better days to come. Yes, yes. Nick, how you feeling? And you can drop it in the chat as well if you need to, but I see you unmuted.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, I'm feeling happy and I'm feeling inspired too. Very hopeful and appreciative.
All right, thank you. And Alana, she says she's feeling fired up. So thank you all again for coming to Add Heart and Fly. And so so the agenda I don't have, I'm totally practicing what I'm teaching today, and that's just putting my whole heart forward. So just a little bit real quick, I got real in my head about having slides and presentations and all of that jazz to illustrate this point, but the heart is the truth and needs no explanation. And I really want us to just be in our heart space today, as I am pushing to be in my heart space fully and completely. So a couple of agreements that I would like to make for this session. I don't like to call them ground rules, but just agreements. And if you all have any agreements that you also want to add to this list, I ask that you put them in the chat so that I can share them with the entire group. But one of the things is being in this space together. We're in a virtual space. We're not like in a room where we can touch and really feel each other's energy, but we'll talk about it. We actually can. So we are all responsible for feeling safe. And I've created this space for us to be safe with. Number one, the first agreement is to listen with your heart. So for those of you all who came in a little late, I started the session out with Alicia Keys' song called Listen to Your Heart. And I'll drop it in the chat, and I encourage you all to go back and listen to that when you finish your visits to all of the different workshops today. And so I encourage you to listen with your heart. If you do not know how to listen with your heart, you'll learn that today. But just be open to listening with your heart. And yes, the heart has ears. We'll talk about that. The heart does have ears, not physical ears, but your heart can sense a lot. The second thing I'm going to ask is that you open your heart. Just open it. You can't physically take your hands and go inside your chest and open it. You probably wouldn't be with us if you could, but there is a way in consciousness. Alana talked about earlier being mindful. There's a way that in our minds we can open our hearts. And then the last thing is have a little bit of fun. Have a little bit of fun with yourself and with being with yourself today. So that's open your heart, listen to your heart, and have fun. Those are the only agreements that I would like to make for this space today. Is there anybody else who would like to add an agreement that would make this place safe for you? Be authentic. Absolutely. That's what adding heart is all about. Thank you, Nicole. That's what adding heart is all about, being authentically you. And sometimes being authentic takes work, and it takes being mindful as well. So, okay, Valencia, she amen in that. To be authentic, be real, be your true self, because being true, the truth needs no explanation. So sometimes we think we have to come in and explain why we are being a certain way or why we are speaking a certain way. And that's not the case. If you're being your true authentic self, there's no explanation needed. People can feel it and people can see it. Anybody else for agreements? Nick?
Yeah, I would love to add, we'll co-sign everything that's been said, but also add a challenge for us to use as much I language as possible. And, because this is called self sessions, I think if we focus on ourself and our own perspective, rather than really talking about other people, and, sometimes we have a propensity to talk about these systems and these big concepts that are very impactful, but starting with I, or at least integrating how I fits into that stuff, I find that really beneficial.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is exactly why this is called the self sessions, because that's all we're going to talk about is ourselves in relationship, yes, to those systems and the things that are impacting us. However, everything starts with I. Everything starts with us. Everything starts with you and with me. And everything starts with the heart. So before we get into the heart, I just want to let you know what we're going to do today. A very simple, I know the explanation for this event made it seem like it was really large and intense, but that was me being in my head. What we're going to do today is, number one, we're just going to talk about the gift of emotions. And then we're going to talk about how the heart processes that and some of the science behind how the heart processes that. And then we're going to spend our last 5 minutes in a add heart meditation. So I am also, in addition to the founder of the Fly Girl Network and chief inspirational officer of the Fly Girl Network, I'm also a certified heart math facilitator with the Heart Math Institute. So I'm going to put that also in the chat. And that's a resource that I would like you all to visit again after you go throughout your sessions today. So, emotions as a gift. Our emotions are a gift, and even the ones that we don't really want to feel. They're a gift to us because, as I stated before, they are the one thing that we get in this body to be able to express ourselves, not only to the world, but really to ourselves. So Alana talked about earlier about being mindful. Well, emotions help us to be mindful. How we're feeling and how we're seeing the world help us to be mindful. Now, the thing about emotions, though, is that when they're not managed properly, they go crazy and they go haywire, and they get all mixed up. And just like anything you put in a pot, a whole lot of ingredients in a pot, if they don't mesh well together, it's like if you baking a cake and you got your eggs and you got your your vegetable oil and you have your flour, but then you throw in some hot sauce. Like, what kind of cake is that? Like, that's a mix. That mixture doesn't mix, but you'll get a cake. You'll definitely get a cake, but will it taste sweet? Probably not, because of that one ingredient that you put in. So when you think about your emotions and your body being this house of emotions, think about baking a cake. And, you know, the cake is like the end product, what you share, what you put out into the world. Now, managing our emotions without the proper tools can turn out to be traumatic for ourselves and traumatic for other people. And we're witnessing in the city right now and for quite some time what the result of mismanagement of emotions is. Prime example with the murder rate. The murder rate, as high as it is because people are not in control of their emotions and thinking that coming outside of themselves to produce harm for someone else is what's going to subside and deal with their emotions. And I'm here to say that leading with your heart is the best and probably the top way to be able to manage your emotions in a way that's healthy for you and healthy for a lot of people. People don't wake up wanting to be murderers or killers, or, you know, people don't wake up wanting to be harmful to the world. That's not something that the heart would even allow. It's that brain, which we'll move into talking about, that when we allow the brain to process our emotions, we get a whole different kind of cake. We get a whole nother thing, and it's all coming from us. So yes, emotions are a gift, but they are only a gift. We can only see them as the gift that they are when we are clear about how to manage them in a way that makes us feel fulfilled, inspired, and does the same for other people. Now, onto that brain of ours. It's a very, very powerful, powerful muscle, but it is not the chief muscle in our body. We give the brain so much credit for why we do what we do. And we give the brain so much credit for our accomplishments and the things that we do. But here are a couple of things about the brain. The brain also is a threefold. We have a threefold mind. We have a consciousness, which is this right now moment that we're all in right now. When we talked about how we felt, we talked about where we were right now. So we have the consciousness, that place in us that brings us in this right now moment. But then we have a subconsciousness, which is a record of everything we've been, everything we've said, everything that somebody else has said, everything that someone's done, every experience we've ever had since the beginning of time in this lifetime, since the womb. Our subconscious has been recording. Some of us have had traumas from the womb. Some of us have been traumatized outside of the womb once we got here. Some of us have experienced trauma just yesterday. Our subconscious has held all of that. And in the subconscious is where our ego lives. And again, our ego is a gift, but if it's not managed properly, then it can bake a whole nother cake. So when we talk about finding balance between the heart and the brain, we first have to give the heart its just due. We have to give the heart some credit. And so I want to talk about a couple of things about the heart that may surprise you, or you may already know it, and you may not. But the heart, I did have a little slide, but I can go off of memory because I'm going with my heart right now. The heart has the power to emanate out into our environment. So has anybody, you could, with a show of hands, have anybody ever heard of raising the vibes or the frequency? Coming to the, feeling bad vibes from somebody that comes into your space. Anybody familiar with the vibes, right? So that's just not a cliche that's not cliche. What's happening is our heart is vibrating. So when you feeling somebody's vibes, you feeling their heart. And the same thing goes for you. When you are trying to put off a vibe, like it's not just all good vibes today. Like you can't just say that. You got to be that. You have to actually embody what a good vibe is. And that starts with going inside of your heart, inside your body, to actually do that. Now, the brain helps us, but in order for the brain to help us, we got to give our heart the credit. So first of all, the heart is more than just an organ that pumps blood, first of all, to every cell. That we have about 3 trillion cells in our bodies that regenerate every day. And this 1 2 ounce, I would say maybe like 7 ounce piece of muscle in us is what is feeding every last cell the regenerative qualities that it needs to get us up every day. So the cells that we had yesterday are no more. We got brand new cells just today. And from that our heart is doing that work of pumping oxygen and filtering the oxygen through our bodies. And that's just the physical part of the heart. So when we talk about being grateful and we talk about being mindful, let's just be mindful of what the heart does for us, number one, on a physical level. Without the heart, we brain dead anyway. All right. The second thing is that our heart, because our heart has 600 more times the neurons that our brain has. So the same processing centers, the same functions that the brain has, the heart has much more than that, triple that. And it is able to guide us in ways that the brain simply just can't. It just does not have the capacity to do. Now we always talk about mind, body, and soul, and we always put mind first. I want us to be mindful of that, because that is not a truth. The mind does not lead. We can allow the mind to lead, but the heart is what is leading our experiences. Also with the heart, our heart has the ability to radiate up to 3 to 5 feet outside of us, outside of our body. So your heart is already in here. 3 to 5 feet outside of that, our heart is radiating vibrations. So that's where the vibe comes from. The vibe is coming from right here, what you're feeling. Now, how do we align those two things together? I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to ask this question of you all, and you can chime in. How do you all navigate? So people, we felt good, we felt inspired, we felt proud, we felt love, we felt gratitude when we started off this Zoom, but that's not always the case. Let's just keep it 100, right? Our emotions fluctuate, sometimes moment to moment, especially when we don't have the tools to manage them. And sometimes our life circumstances and the things that happen to us have an influence and an impact on our heart. So what I want to ask you all is, what do you have the tendency, and remember, we talking be authentic. What do you have the tendency to do when you're feeling a negative emotion and you're trying to get out of it? Do you try to think your way out of it? And when I say think your way out of it, and I don't even want to say it, I'm gonna let other people describe that. Do you try to think your way out of it, or do you try to feel your way out of it? And just let me, anybody can chime in now. Take yourself off mute. Do you think or feel your way, Brianna? I see you took yourself off first.
I think I more so think my way out of it. I don't think I more so try to feel, even though I'm more so like, okay, well, I feel this way, but then I more so think harder. I don't really, I don't really think of my feelings right then and there. I more so think with my mind first.
Got it. And when you say you think about with your mind, what are the types of things that you think about when you're trying to process a negative emotion?
Like, okay, why do I feel this way? Should I feel this way? Is there anything else I should have done? Is there anything else that could have been done instead of, to not feel that way? It's just questions like that, other than like, well, I have the right to feel this way or something.
Yes. One of the things one of my great teachers told me, don't shit on yourself. Okay. The couldas, the shouldas, and the wouldas. That is an indication, everybody, that you are thinking your way through something. And that's not to say that you're supposed to be thoughtless, but your brain, your heart has a brain too. And so you can trust that your heart will send the signal to your brain about what to think. Sometimes we just have automatic thoughts based on reactions that experiences that we've had. And that's when we give the brain the permission to lead. And our heart is a very subtle thing. It's not intrusive like the brain. Like Brianna said, you got I coulda, I shoulda, I woulda, all of these thoughts. The brain is so invasive. It's so adamant about explaining itself. It's so, and it's designed to do that for different things, but not for when it comes to leading your life. Your brain is not supposed to lead your life or your circumstances. Thank you, Brianna. Anybody else thinking or feeling your way through it? I see Nicole. She says she feels her way out of it. I think about what I'm feeling and how what I'm feeling may impact the other person. All right, I'm gonna push you a little bit further, Nicole. Do you think about how what you're feeling may impact you or is impacting you? And you can put it in the chat. Sarah also wrote, I've recently started to do both instead of just one. I'll allow myself time to process my emotion or how I'm feeling / thinking. And after I process my emotions, I start to feel my emotions because I feel much better after I feel my feels. Yes, feel. Now, a lot of us, especially me, if I'm being honest, I have not been taught or brought up to feel. It was like, oh, use your head. You ain't think about that first. You're not. And we are born in this world to feel our ways through. As babies, we're not thinking. Babies don't think, they feel. And they are they are the most intelligent beings on the planet because all they do is move out of their heart space. When you watch a baby trying to walk, they don't think about the next step, they just take it. And if they fall, and they still babies, if they fall, they just get back up and they try it again, like, wait a minute, something was off there. They don't even stop the process unless somebody noticed that they fell, and then you're like, oh, then their brains get to working like, okay, so am I supposed to get up? Am I supposed to feed into how they see this? So when we talk about leading with the heart, it really is getting to this baby stage in us. There's a baby in all of us. It's really getting to that part of us to just feel our way through things. And when we grow up, oh my God, when we fall, it's like a catastrophe. Like, we're embarrassed. We worried about who looking. And then, we don't even notice if we bleeding or not yet. We just watching to see who saw it. And then trying to think for the person who saw us fall about what they think about us. And I'm not just talking about physically falling, but I mean tripping up or making a mistake in a speech or in class or interacting with another person. So yes, feels. This is something that we have to be mindful of because our society in general does not place value on our feelings. In the workplace, in the school, everything is about thinking. And so when we talk about leading with our heart, we have to remember that it's the total opposite of what the world is telling us to do. And usually the heart will tell you the exact opposite of what you're thinking, usually. Nick, I see you let
I
off of mute. Do you
Yeah,
think
I just
before
wanted
you
I
say
just
something?
wanted to piggyback that. Totally agree with what everybody is saying, and I think I guess it was Sarah said she does kind of a combination of both. I think I've learned to do that, whereas I'll feel something, and then I'll think about the feeling and see if it matches the situation. So if somebody is kind of playing with me, then my feelings might be justified. But if I'm really upset and it doesn't really feel like, or maybe I shouldn't say it feels like it, when I think about it, my feelings don't match the situation. I'll find myself try to examine what's going on. I really liked what you said earlier about how our ego really takes over our subconscious, and a lot of different things that have conditioned us come up in those moments to create a disconnect between the feeling and the thinking. So if I do see that misalignment, then that's when I really try to do things that I know feel good.
Yes.
So like playing a little bit of soccer, like really just kicking this ball around, or like playing basketball, going on a little quick run, doing some breathing, listening to some music, like dancing with my toddler, like doing stuff that I know is going to feel good for me. And then I can go revisit the thing again with hopefully a more grounded thinking brain. That tends to be sort of my special sauce right now.
I'm glad you said that because one of the ways you can tell that you're thinking, because the brain also houses emotions, but the brain keeps a hold of the ego, keeps a hold of what we call at Ad Heart, we call it low quality emotions. Low quality emotions are insecurities. Low quality emotions, the top one is fear. That is the top low quality emotion you could feel is fear. Fear brings your frequency all the way down. It's the bottom of the bottom. Fear, shame, and guilt. We have the ability to radiate up to 7,000 megahertz of energy. We have the ability to radiate 7,000 megahertz in frequency. But shame and guilt takes us down to like 700, 300. I'm going to share a couple of those in our after talk with all of the. I shared some handouts that you can use to kind of to kind of gauge where you are against your thinking versus your feeling. And also, and this is what we call emotional intelligence. So, I mean, a lot of us are smart. We got degrees in the building, we got teachers in the building, but none of that is really a match for well-being. Maybe the well-being of others, being a social worker, being a program director, being a chief inspirational officer, all that outside stuff is for the well-being of others. And I like what you said, Nicole, because I am an empathic person too, that I also make myself second. So I feel all right, but I be feeling other people's stuff and I get all into how other people feeling. And I totally ignore that maybe that might not be how I feel. Just because I'm in that space doesn't necessarily mean that those are my feelings. I don't know how many other empaths, but I seem to draw empaths. So it might be more of you on the line right now because what we think, who we are is what we attract. So I'm pretty sure most of us, to some degree, are empathic beings. And so we have to be very, very careful because therein lies the gift of the emotions. You can pick up other people's emotions, but got to be very careful about taking them on. And all of these helping professions that we find ourselves in, that's really what draws us to the profession. Why we even want to help people, because we can feel people. But we got to be careful of doing our work from a space of helping others, because our work is really the reason why we're drawn to this is because we're learning how to master our emotions. Social workers, program directors, youth directors, teachers, we have been drawn to these jobs because it is to teach us first how to master our emotions so that we are able to be the helping people that we need to be. And Nick, the other thing you said, where I was going with as far as navigating, I like that word, navigating your emotions, because you can't rid yourself of them, but you can navigate them. And you can, when you're feeling low quality emotions like frustration, impatience, that's also a emotion of the brain. um, impatience, fear, frustration, judgment, judging of the self and judging of others. So the coulda, shoulda, woulda, that's judging, whether you're doing it for yourself or whatever. So when you notice that coulda, shoulda, woulda, just know that you might be tipping into judging yourself for somewhere that you're not necessarily pleased with, but knowing that you're right where you need to be. Doubt, yes, a low doubt. Thank you, Sarah. That is a low quality emotions, and those are usually emotions that the brain is finagling, that the ego is trying to push its way through to your heart, but it can't penetrate. If anything, the heart will resist, and you will persist with thinking your way through things, but you'll always find to your detriment that thinking through things before you consult your heart does not give you the best outcome. I got 2 more minutes before we spend our last 3 to 5 minutes actually adding heart. So I want to share the high quality emotions that we need to be more mindful of. And they are kindness, compassion. So it's it's funny that we are empaths, but the real emotion that we really want to be emitting, yes, empathy, but empathy has a higher level and it's called compassion. So empathy on the mid level, but you are in your mastery sense when you got that compassion, because compassion includes empathy, and not just for the other person. Now you are including yourself in that emotional exchange, because in order to be compassionate, you have to allow yourself to be where you are, even while that other person is where they are, and be okay that, no, I'm not going there with that other person. I feel you, I do, but I'm not going there with you. I'm going to hold a space for you in my heart that allows me to still be real with you and still be in this space with you, but in a way that I'm not impacted in a negative manner. Also, the heart, because of that radiant power that we have to be able to radiate up to 3 to 5 feet outside of us, we got to be very mindful that the feeling of frustration, it's in your environment, it's in your atmosphere. So not only so when we talk about those I statements, Nick, it's like, I feel frustrated right now, but guess what? Your whole environment feels your frustration. And the more in tune you get with yourself, you'll see the lights flicker, or your computer will stop working, or it'll keep turning and turning and turning because you're frustrated. We are impacting all the other electromagnetic fields around us, from our phones to the computers to the Bluetooth. If we're not feeling a certain way, those things can malfunction. And if we're not mindful that we are actually the cause, and not necessarily just you, but the people around you, the people in your community. So you're not only radiating frustration in yourself, but in your environment, your immediate environment, and also the world. That's what they teach us at the Heart Math Institute, is that you are whatever you're feeling is big. We are all one. We're all connected to the one, and there's oneness in all of us. And the only individual part of us is the ability to choose how we want to feel. And so when we talk about being adding heart to our heart space, we are reaching for high quality emotions. So when we talk about healing this city, because that's what all brought us here, the city needs some healing. Well, guess what? You can put healing into the city and push that out of your own heart from where you are in this moment right now. So we got 4 minutes and we're going to practice that. One of the chief paramount self-mastery technique that the Heart Math Institute teaches is the heart locked in technique. So we talked about when we get all in our thoughts about it and how our thoughts can really take us on a ride. But the way that we reel ourselves back in is to lock in the heart. So sometimes, like Sarah says, sometimes we don't have the luxury of doing both. Sometimes it's a moment that's really just took you off the top and you just need to recalibrate right now. And so what we do is this technique called add heart, the heart lock-in technique. So we're going to walk through it, and I'm going to take about 60 seconds at each. It's only 3 phases. So what I want you to do right now is just relax yourself. And I'm going to close my eyes now, because if I look at myself, then my brain going to get to working. So I want you to do, the first part is to focus your attention on your breath. So we're going to take one deep, deep inhale. Feel your chest rise. Feel your stomach blow up like a balloon. And release it. Listen to your breath. Take another one. And don't rush to take the next breath, as we talked about in the beginning. You don't have to tell your breath to do a thing. That's the gift. So hold it if you can for a second or two. And in those hold moments, if you are to engage the brain, think about your breath moving through that heart space. So if you have to put your hand on your chest to activate that thought, do so right now. All right. Now, the second step to the heart lock-in technique, keep breathing and keep seeing the air from your lungs push through your heart. So it's like coming up out of your nostrils, coming back in through the heart into the rest of your body. And put a smile on your face, because the heart is like working overtime for you all the time. And so with that, the second part is, now this is where you engage your mind. Think on a high quality emotion, such as compassion or love or kindness, courage. Think on one or all of those things. And at this part, you're supposed to, the work here is to sustain that no matter what's happening around you. So be aware if you might be in the office or you're in the house and there's some kids running around. Somebody got the TV going. When you meditate like this, you don't need complete silence. All you have to do is silence the heart, the brain, and let the heart do the rest of the work. So don't think that you need complete silence to get this in, because you don't. You can also do this with your eyes open. You can do this while you're driving. And that is the work, the mastery is sustaining that feeling. So we can think about love. We all have the capacity to love. So think on those things. And that's how you sustain it. Nick, think about dancing with your toddler. Think about your favorite song and what it does. What's coming up for me is Lovely Day by, I don't even get me with the name, but Lovely Day. When I think of you and the world's all right with me. Oh, just one thought of you. And I know it's gonna be. That's how Brianna woke up. A lovely day.
Yes, yes.
And then now I hear it. So everybody, we there. We done locked it. We done locked it. So now the third piece is now that you have sustained that. Oh, I'm feeling goosebumps on my face. Now that you have been able to master it, if only for a moment, don't beat yourself up if your mind drifts. You say high thought, by thought. We thinking with the heart right now. So it's just easy when you get distracted. Nothing to coulda, shoulda, woulda about. Just say high thought, by thought, because we're here right now. And the third step is to radiate. So we are up at the top of that frequency, that vibe. We all vibing high because I can feel y'all. I can feel you. I can feel your electromagnetic fields at high frequency. I can feel you because I can feel it in my face. I can feel it in my feet. And this technology is just allowing it to transfer even faster and with even more potency. And I'm grateful for how everyone's heart is radiating right now. And so that third step is to now send that love first, Nick, to me. That love, that compassion, I'm feeling it for me right now. I'm taking it for me. I'm filling my whole body up. And now I'm radiating that into this environment that I'm sitting in right now, whether it's my room, whether it's my closet, whether it's my kitchen table. I'm radiating that so that anybody that walks through this door, anybody that comes down these steps, because I'm in the basement, is going to feel my love, whether I say something or not, whether I do anything, whether I explain why my eyes are closed, why I explain anything. You just going to feel it soon as you hit my room. That's radiating. We're going to take it a step further because we at the City Healing Summit for Baltimore. And we're going to hit the streets from our seats, radiating this love, this compassion, this patience, this tolerance. We're sending this love out to all the families who have loved ones who have transitioned already this year and all the years before. We sending love out because we know that absent from the body is to be present with spirit. So we know that all the lives that have been sacrificed in this city is for this moment right now so that we can heal and we can radiate love, so that we can have the power and the knowledge of that power, that we don't have to do too much more than just live and move from our heart space in everything that we do. And lastly, we're going to take that from the streets to the world, radiating in places and countries that we know could use a little bit more heart.